Wow, so soon already? Alright, let's put this into perspective, shall we? Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was released in August 8, 2014. The game exists because people thought the main character from another game was unintentionally scary like an animatronic. Yeah, that's why this game exists. It was a bit of a simple game. Check cameras for robots, and if robot at the door, close it. There were also other mechanics, but they were easy to understand. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 releases like 3 months later. The game features a new location, a new cast, new mechanics, and whatnot. And the end result, for me at least, is that this game is somewhere in the middle. I'm pretty sure I joined the FNAF craze around this time, so while this game is nostalgic, as is every other Five Nights at Freddy's game, you will find that in this review I won't be too happy talking about this game. Don't get me wrong, this game is still simple in its way of using game mechanics. One thing that anybody will notice once you start playing is that there are no more doors for you to close. Instead, you have a Freddy mask which you can use to fool any animatronic that chills in your office for a bit. This can sometimes be hit or miss, because I remember back in the day this mechanic may or may not have been much more precise than it is now. But honestly, I haven't had any issues with it. The game will automatically kick you off from the monitors in order to deal with the animatronic in your office. And on a shit day, you'll completely bypass this. The Freddy mask is used to counter almost every animatronic, even Freddy, which you would think he would not fall for this cheap trick, but I guess he thinks he has a cousin who is very skinny. We still have a couple of animatronics that have unique mechanics, and by couple I mean only two. Wither Foxy and the puppet or marionette. Wither Foxy is countered by having a spandex with her flashlight. And before I mention anything else, yes, Balloon Boy has a unique mechanic in the form of taking the batteries from your flashlight and then just laughing at you. But he can be countered by the Freddy mask if it's not too late, so I decided to not include him. He synergizes well with Wither Foxy to the point where this combo is very deadly. The puppet is quite possibly the most infuriating animatronic. Not only does this one ruin already established things like the cameras, but it can be pretty annoying to have a barrage of animatronics come consecutively in your office just so that music box can drain quicker than my balls after my girlfriend bounced on my dick like 3 times. Strap yourself, cause that's a wild thing to say for me, cause I'm pissed. So it's time to rant. In my honest opinion, my honest of humblest of opinions, the puppet is quite literally bad game design, genuinely the worst part about this game. So the idea is that you go to the price counter camera to wind up the music box. Simple enough, is it? Problem number 1. The cameras are redundant. Remember how in the first game you used the cameras to get as much information on every animatronic as you could? How about we eliminate that aspect and instead force the player to use the monitor on one camera just for one mechanic? The location itself looks pretty interesting if you ask me, and it's a shame that we never get to look at it as much as we used to because we are busy winding up a fucking toy. Problem number 2. There's way too many animatronics! This is a problem that I have in general with this game, but it is a valid point to bring up when talking about marionette. Like I said before, a barrage of animatronics can come in your office to stare at you for what feels like an eternity, and that will be a big problem because the timer goes down for the music box in this time period. Night 6 is especially problematic because you just simply can't catch a break. Also add the fact that you have to play the waiting game for the animatronics in the vents. You have to put the mask and wait a good chunk of time before you hear the vent sound effect. And in that whole chaos, you also have to flash the hallway in front of you for Wither Foxy. You can genuinely forget about him during these instances because you'll be focused on other things. I'm saying that because that happened to me. I get that it's to make things chaotic, but this is way too much. So yeah, you can see how this will be problematic when it comes to marionette. This whole game has you on a leash with the music box and gives you a timer to escape the trap. This shit feels like a jigsaw trap if you ask me. So yeah, in a nutshell, the puppet is an affront to society and it deserves at least 1,000 years in the gulag. How can you make a cool design for an animatronic that gives such lame mechanics? Anyways, with that ramble over, let's talk about other things. As I said before, there are a lot of lots of animatronics. We have the toy animatronics, which are the basic cast of characters. Balloon Boy is the first animatronic to talk in this franchise. Kinda neat, not gonna lie. And I'm pretty sure everyone can agree that the Wither animatronics are, design-wise, are so freaking cool. Scott genuinely cooked with these ones. They look so creepy and yet so cool at the same time. And since I mentioned the flashlight before, I feel I need to point out, the way the batteries work. Is it just me or are the batteries, kind of weird? Like by the time 2 AM reaches, you'll probably use like half of it, and for the rest of the game you are using the flashlight as least as possible. Either I'm using the flashlight way too much early game, or maybe this is intentional game design to create tension because you need that torch. And that's pretty much it. This game also comes with a night 6 and a custom now with its own main challenge. And separate other challenges that I did not know they existed until recently. I will proceed to forget about this 10 minutes later. Oops. There's also the garbage paychecks, not worth it, especially the overtime check. That is bullshit. You also get fire in classic Five Nights at Freddy's fashion, except it's a completely different guy since we play as one Jeremy Fitzgerald. Welcome back to another episode of Mad Complaints about Fazbear Entertainment. In today's episode, we're going to talk about these phone calls from this game. So buckle up, folks. This one will be a real doozy. So, the phone call for night 1 has nothing notable. It is simply just to get you started and teach you the mechanics. This time it teaches you everything, unlike the first game, stupid blind spots. Phone guy does mention something about an old location. Now, anyone that does have half a brain may think, oh, they're talking about the location for Five Nights at Freddy's. Oh, that's kinda neat. Wrong. You see, this game takes place before the first game, so by all means this game is a prequel. But I wouldn't blame you for thinking that, considering in the same phone call, phone guy makes fun of the lack of doors for you to close. Ha ha ha, very funny, so meta, but also, why would you mention that? Why would I think that there will be doors for me to close? Considering this is a prequel, this line makes no fucking sense. Also, we are only the second guard here. The other guy complained about conditions, mainly that the animatronics don't have a proper night mode. Why not just program a night mode? You said you had engineers, so why not do it? What's holding you back? Night 2 phone call teaches you about fending off Wither Foxy, which is fine. By the way, the only reason why I even made that comment earlier for the night 1 phone call was because you can get an animatronic at your door during night 1, and the game tells you about that in night 2. You can kinda see the problem. This one also talks about the older models and how bad they smell. Also, phone guy does not like the puppet. Base department? You may dislike that thing for a completely different purpose, but I'll take what I can get. Night 3 phone call gives us lore on Mangle. So they have engineers, but the employees were the ones trying to put Mangle back together. Mentions of rumors that are, totally not connected to Fazbear Entertainment, guys. No, we are innocent, okay? And also, the guard during the day shift reported nothing unusual, which, cool for him, but I'm stuck from midnight to dawn. He also said these robots are faulty programming at night. For some reason, why would I give a damn about what he says? So far, there has been a whole lot of wrong shit happening in this game, honestly. Great job, Fazbear Entertainment. Let's see if we can keep the streak going. Night 4 mentions an investigation which is related to Fazbear Entertainment. Guess I spoke too soon. Okay, so we have a police investigation going on right now. Then this means I should not be here. The place should be on lockdown, but technically, but theoretically, who does that? Certainly not my favorite company. Also, phone guy denies any wrongdoing because, and I quote, "These things happen sometimes." Okay, man, you tell me how many times you have seen an animatronic bite some kid's front cerebral lobes for you to come to that conclusion, because that's an insane thing to say. And guess what? It gets worse. Night 5 phone call explicitly states that the whole building is on lockdown, meaning that I should not even be here in the first place. Also, I'm switching jobs right now. That's crazy. I haven't even finished my first week as a security guard yet. I'm moved to the day shift. Now, surprise! Night 6 has a phone call. Okay, the first game did not have that courtesy, so it's a pleasant surprise, but it's also the most problematic one, to say the least. First of all, let's get the small bullshit out of the way. Phone guy, what memo are you talking about? The only memo I got was welcome to the family. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing here for a 6th night, since the building is supposed to be closed down because a kid got murdered. Also, if this place is closed down, how the fuck did I get in? Also, just, separate issue altogether, but one thing I have to praise Scott, and it's on how well, he sells you on the idea that, the guy that's talking to you is actually, that's communicating the news about someone using a yellow spare suit, and now no animatronic is acting right. phone guy is genuinely very scared, and this was very unsettling. So, you know what? Yeah, great voice acting, Scott. I really like that. Anyways, back to complaining. Why are you hosting a birthday party in the same pizzeria where a kid got murdered? Why the fuck is said parent to said child hosting a birthday party for their kid in the same place where a child got fucked up? Oh, it's not like this wouldn't been all over the news. No, that's not newsworthy. Also, remember that we get fired during night 7? Well, there's this other guy who has been doing the same things as the other guy from the first game. Pretty suspicious if you ask me. Also, fuck you, that's what you get for hiring nightwears when you're supposed to be closed. And also, if this guy was new, how would you know how to tamper with the animatronics? You know what? Let's rewind a little bit to that overtime check because I'm getting fucked with that shit, so I'm just going to ignore it and instead let's look at a newspaper. It mentions how Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closed down and that the company will use the older models in hopes of a possible rebrand or some other stuff. But weren't those models malfunctioning too? Wouldn't it cost more to restore those animatronics to a functional state than to just simply build new ones that you have to program anyways? Well, this one was a doozy. I had my fair share of hot takes in this one. I simply am not a fan of this game. Oh, don't worry, the next game is worse. I think this game is way too bloated for its own good, but it does have a couple of interesting ideas, but it's bogged down by questionable design decisions that I'm not sure Scott took into account when he created the first game like 3 months ago. Also, I just realized, but I suck ass at making outros. Can someone teach me how to do that? Anyways, watch my other videos. Bye!